For the last few weeks, my wife and I have been very busy packing. We're getting ready to move, and I wanted to do something spooky themed because Halloween is almost upon us at this point. And so I was thinking of ideas of what I could do, and as I was packing up some of my games, it got me to thinking about the games that used to really creep me out. For one reason or another, there were a lot of games that just kind of left me a little bit unsettled. Gave me the Jeepers Creepers, if you will. So I'm going to talk about some of those games that just really kind of creeped me out as a kid. I'm going to limit it to around when I was 6 or 7. So this is early childhood for me. So without further ado, let's get into some of them. The first game I wanted to talk about is Luigi's Mansion. I'm pretty sure this game has been talked to death on YouTube, but I'm gonna go ahead and give my perspective on it for what it's worth. Yeah, so fun fact, I was born in 1999. Me and my brothers and one sister, we grew up with a GameCube, and one of the games that we had on the GameCube was Luigi's Mansion. And I remember, actually, my brother, I think he got this for his birthday. He was probably 7 or 8 at the time, I want to say. And side note, just to remember, we didn't have any memory cards. We did not have a GameCube memory card. We played the beginning of all these games over and over again, so we didn't get to see much of the game for however long we could play. But anyway, we would play a lot of Luigi's Mansion. And I never played it because I was a 4 or 5-year-old. I was not about to walk inside this giant, dark, spooky mansion all by myself. So I would mostly watch my brother play. And this game, for a little kid, this game's pretty creepy. Like, playing it now, obviously, I don't have an issue with it. As a kid, like, there's the music and the atmosphere really kind of stuck with me. And it still sticks with me today. I love this game. I play it probably once at least every couple years. So we would play the beginning of this game over and over again and just kind of see how far we could get. And I think we usually made it about to the baby. I think Chauncey is the name of the baby. I went ahead and played up to that point for this video, and just the atmosphere of the game is, I don't think it's been recreated in the second and third game, which I have played. I do not like the second one all that much. The third one, I've played quite a bit of the third one. I haven't beaten it, but it was pretty good. I don't know why it's called Luigi's Mansion, because it takes place in a hotel, but it is what it is. So anyway, we would play a lot of the opening scene. We usually probably made it about to the baby, and we couldn't figure out how to open that main door when you first walk in. The first door you see in the game is blocked off, and it hurts you, but yeah, the opening to this game is, it sets quite the tone because you slowly walk in, you see Luigi just walking into this mansion. He's got a map, he's walking in, he's got nothing but, I don't even know I think he has a flashlight and that's about it. So he walks in, he's got a flashlight, and it's just dark, it's stormy outside, and you just gotta walk in and look for, I think he's looking for Mario. Mario went in ahead of him, he's gotta find his brother. You gotta figure out what's going on here. Also, we did not know the story to this game. At least I didn't know the story. It's just, I thought the mansion was real. Apparently, you'll learn that it's not a real mansion. It just appeared overnight. But I did not know that. And that's part of what made this game so scary for me, is I thought these were actual dead people. Like, I thought all the portrait ghosts were like a real family. I thought they were a real family. I thought this was a real house. I thought there was real history, and like the house was being haunted by this family that died of mysterious causes all at once. So that kind of haunted me for quite a while. So I would stay away from this game for that reason. But it turns out that's not really true. These ghosts, as far as I know, they're not related to each other. But they really paint it out, at least the beginning of the game, like make it for you to believe that there's a mom, a dad, and a baby at least. But I guess that's not confirmed. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. But anyway, yeah. So you walk in and then you see Egad, and you know he's got your back. He's protecting you. There's a ghost that just suddenly appear out of nowhere, and then he takes you back to his place. The only part of this game that I could play were the parts in Egad's hideout in the gallery. I love the gallery. The galleries, it's a little unsettling because it's so quiet there, but it's also so calm and nice. So that's the one part of this game that I would be totally fine just walking around. But anyway, Egad takes you back. He trains you up, and then you get to go back by yourself as Luigi with your vacuum, with your poltergeist. The vacuum is called. And the first room that you go into, you go back to that room that you found Egad in, and you blow out the candles, and then the freaking paintings start talking to you. And there's this eerie music that's like slowly just building up, and then just suddenly out of nowhere, just a bunch of ghosts come and attack you, and the paintings are literally saying like, "Ooh, you should not have entered here." And then they're like, "They're coming," and then the ghosts appear, and it's kind of creepy still. I think it's still a little creepy. But I mean, if you've seen some of my other videos, you see me get jump scared in almost every game I play, so that's nothing new. But yeah, just the start of the game really was creepy. Just the fact that I thought that they were all like a dead family living in the house, and they all just died of mysterious circumstances. And I think by far the thing that creeped me out the most is when you make it to the baby. At least as a kid, because this was the part that we would see the most, because that's as far as we could get in the game before we had to turn it off usually. Yeah, the baby creeped me out. Like, you just walk in and there's just this dead baby floating in a crib, and you have to play with him. Like, this is like the script of a horror movie. You gotta play with this dead child, and he starts attacking you, and then he starts screaming, and then he takes you into his dream world, and then he just starts throwing all his toys at you and starts crying. And it's kind of creepy stuff, man. There's just an atmosphere of the first Luigi's Mansion that I don't think they've replicated in the second and third. I think they got a lot closer with the third game, but the first one is just it's a lot more intimate. You're in this one house. The art style too it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's quite like aiming for realistic, but it almost is kind of realistic with all the effects. They got all the dust and lighting effects. I think they just built an atmosphere in that game that they just haven't replicated, and that really stuck with me as a kid. I would poop my pants if I played this by myself. So luckily I had my big brother there to carry me through it. That's kind of a theme for a lot of the games that we played as a kid. I was just kind of drippy nose little kid that my brother would help me through on all the hard games. But Luigi's Mansion, love that game. Great game to play around Halloween. So Luigi's Mansion, I'm sure a lot of people at this point probably know what that is, especially with Luigi's Mansion 3, but this next game, I don't think anybody really cares about, and that's Shrek 2. We played this a ton, me and my brothers. It's either 2-player or 4-player on the GameCube. For a movie tie-in game that's based on Shrek, let's be honest, nobody has high expectations for that. Unfortunately, I know. But it's actually a really good game. I love this game. It's got its jank, it's got its weirdness, it's got its quirks, but it's a good time. I actually recently played this with my wife. We played through the whole game and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, the only thing in Shrek 2 that bothered me was one particular level. The whole rest of the game, I mean, I had no problem with. There's nothing wrong with the rest of the game. And I don't even know if I can tell you completely why, but I had to leave the room every time we came to this part in the game. And I do think that we did have a memory card at this point, because we definitely beat the game. But anyway, there's this one level where you are going through like a farm or some pasture, or you're going through some lumber yard or something like that, and there's a bunch of pumpkins that you break through. It's like right after you recruit Puss in Boots for your team, and you can now play as him. You're walking across like these bridges and like these little farmhouses, and you come across this goat, and this goat scared the living crap out of me. He freaked me out so bad for literally no reason. I don't even know why. Actually, I was reminded why when me and my wife played. So when you come across him, so as you play the game, you come across different side quests, like little side quests that you can beat throughout each level. It's just like, hey, protect this character as they walk to this place or something like that. So anyway, this goat, you come across him and you talk to him and he gives you a side quest. He says, help, I need help. I ate all this troll's tin cans and now he's gonna kill me.
Oh, the troll on the bridge is going to kill me. I don't deserve to die for what I did, eating the troll's tin cans. Won't you help me? I'll always remember you guys in my prayers.
And so he's like, will you please help me? And you can say yes or no. If you say no, I think he says something super depressing. He's just like a super depressing guy. Like, yeah, I think that's what really creeped me out. This guy's gonna freaking die. Like, holy crap, this goat's gonna, you're gonna see some slaughter here. It's bad. And like, just the way he talked, I don't know, his voice, there was something about his voice that just creeped me out, and the way he moved. The characters themselves are kind of unsettling, the way they look. Like, they're just, something about him just looks kind of off and robotic. Anyway, yeah, this goat, every time he came on screen, I had to like close my eyes and like plug my ears whenever this goat was on screen. He terrified me that much. And again, like, I still can't really pinpoint why that is. That's just another game that I really remember had one part that just kind of creeped me out. And that's going to be a theme. Like, again, none of these games are meant to be scary. They're not meant to scar your childhood, but there's maybe just one or two parts of them that is just, for some reason, it's just different and it's darker than the rest. And it's just, it leaves you with that one memory. So yeah, that's Shrek 2. We played it on the GameCube. It's a great game, actually. I really love it. But that goat got to me, man. Okay, so I want to move on from the console games and talk about a couple of games for the PC. And one of the games that is like one of my quintessential childhood games was Chex Quest. I feel like not many people might know about this game. It's a Doom clone or a reskin of Doom in the flavor of Chex cereal. And that sounds super weird. It sounds really dumb, and it is, but it is also really awesome, and it's a really good set of games. There are 3 games, but I grew up playing the first 2. Mostly the first one. I have some memories with the second one. But anyway, I went back and played a few minutes of both the first and second game. Almost every time I played this game, I was with my dad. I would actually sit on his lap and I would be in charge of shooting the gun. You press control to fire whichever weapon you have out, and that would be my job. He would control the character and navigate, and I would just shoot the enemies. And there were a lot of enemies, so I had a lot to do, and that was really fun for me. The game itself was really kind of empty. There's no NPCs except for the enemies, and they're like these booger slime snot monsters. So you go to this Chex planet, and it turns out it's invaded by these goop monsters, and there's a whole weird backstory. It's actually really funny to watch. There's like this little CGI cutscene.
That's ridiculous. What soldier would be fool enough to enter a cavern full of unstoppable flamoids from another dimension? By recalibrating the phase frequency of our Zorchers to match that of our transporters, we can send the flamoids back to their own dimension. We need a volunteer.
I'm from Chex Squadron, and I volunteer.
It's hard to describe. You have to play it to see it for yourself. We'd play on our old CRT monitor, and there's something about the music and the emptiness of the planet that you're navigating, and these monsters, you can hear them through the walls sometimes. They make like this they make this sound, like this growling sound. It's like anyway, yeah, so you're just trying to find all the keys, similar to Doom, how you find the different keys for the doors. You find the red, blue, and yellow key in Chex Quest, and you just get to the end of the level. That's really the only objective. But you have these. You start off on this space colony, and everything's just gone to crap. The poop has hit the fan, and you got to get out of there. You got to save, I guess your team, your research team, or your whatever team you were with. You got to save them from the goop monsters. Phlegmoids, that's what they're called. Yeah, phlegmoids. Yeah, it's a gross name. They're booger monsters. So yeah, you just navigate through these research facilities and everything's just empty. There's monsters everywhere. You're just this one guy against the whole colony of booger people. And it's like, that's a lot to take on. You gotta navigate through these dark hallways. Like, you turn around. The only way to turn around is like, we played with just the keyboard. You didn't have a mouse. And you just have to turn around with the arrow keys, and you're kind of slow when you do it. So there could be something creeping up on you that you can't hear, and you have limited ammo that you pick up along the way as you go. Enemies don't drop anything for you, so you're just stuck. Like, if you run out of ammo, you're just done for. But yeah, anyway, you just go through these empty research facilities, and you see you get a sense of the graphics aren't great, but the story of, you know, there were people that worked here and now everything has just gone to crap. And that always stuck with me and kind of, you know, gave me an eerie sense of like, holy crap, everything just has gone downhill and it's up to us to save everything, and it's a lot to take on. The first game is about rescuing your crewmates from the booger monsters on their planet. And the last level is super creepy. You're in this cavern and there's just monsters everywhere. Everything's super weird to navigate. It looks like you're walking through cheese. And then eventually you come to this wall of slime that shoots slime at you, and your crewmates are trapped behind it. And eventually you can defeat it. But the second game takes place on Earth, or whatever Chex planet, like the Chex people live on, the race of Chex people. And it takes place on Earth, and the Phlegmoids have taken over all the cities. They're just rampaging everywhere. So you start off on a city street, and you're going through like these restaurants. You're trying to save whoever you can, make it to the end. And then the second level, you're going through like these cinemas, and it's just these black and white. It almost looked like Mickey Mouse as I was playing. I don't know if it was just like a recreation of like an old like Walt Disney film that just kind of loops on the screen, but it was really cool. And like, really, it's just so different from Doom. And I didn't even know what Doom was as a kid. I thought this was like an original game, and it's just so cool. It came in a cereal box too. That's insane. Like, you get a whole game in a cereal box. Overall, just the emptiness again of this game kind of just stuck with me, really. Just this one guy against this whole army of like slime people, and you gotta save your friends and your family and the whole race of Chex people. It's just a lot to take on as a kid. So that always stuck with me. All right, this next PC game is another game that I would play with my dad. Again, I didn't really play any of these games by myself. I was not good enough at games to be able to play by myself. But this next game is Toy Story for the PC. I think that's just the name of the game. It's just Toy Story. Me and my brothers were obsessed with Toy Story. My older brother and I, we love those movies. I still love them to this day. But we had a Toy Story game for the PC. And this game, I went back and played this game. This game is hard as frick. This game is super difficult. I didn't remember it being that difficult when I played it with my dad. He must have been like a master gamer at the time, because we made it pretty far. I think we might have even beaten the game at some point. But yeah, I went back to play this game for this video and get some footage, but there isn't a PC version available, at least not digitally, which makes sense. You know, it's an old licensed game. And even then, I'm pretty sure it's really tough to install unless you have like Windows 98 or something. So I just emulated the Genesis version. The PC version's usually the best version in most cases. Harry Potter. But anyway, okay, so this game starts off with a really fun and stress-free level. You walk around the whole room and you just gotta, you know, pull the lid off the green army men and knock the radio down, because, you know, they're getting ready for Andy's birthday. You gotta get everybody in place, and you just kind of walk through the level. You learn what the enemies are, you learn the controls. There's really only two controls. You jump and you use your little whip, pull string, whatever he has. So you just walk through this level. There's no timer. There's really not that many enemies either, and it's pretty fun. A pretty good sign of things to come. And then the next level, they start stressing you out because you gotta get the toys back inside the toy chest before the timer runs out. And you have like, I think maybe like 3 minutes to do this. So it's not a big level, but like, you know, as a kid, like, you're running out of time. You gotta find all these toys, and then once you free them, they're like stuck in between these blocks. You free them, they start walking towards this chest. You have to jump on this air pump to make them jump into the chest. And if they walk past it, you have to wait for them to walk all the way back again. So you have very few chances of getting this done in a straight shot. But once you get that done, you jump onto the bed, and then it starts getting a little freaky. So Buzz comes into the picture, and you quickly learn Buzz is a freak.
To infinity and beyond!
He's a freak of nature. I don't really know what they were thinking with this game. Buzz, I think, is really the trauma for me, where my trauma comes from with this game, because this dude, okay, when he arrives in the game, the next level is to race him to the end of the bedroom. You don't really, there's no time limit or anything. You just see him jumping around, and this dude taunts you like crazy. Like, he's in the movie, he comes across as just like, he's an innocent guy, like he's like a newborn baby.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
Oh, no, 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 no.
He doesn't know anything about the real world, and you know, Woody gets irritated with him. But in the game, like, they kind of take it to a whole new level. This dude's doing like dance moves. He's taunting you throughout the whole level. He's jumping around, like showing off. Like, this guy's such a jerk. And like, you really want to get back at him for it. But anyway, this level is hard. It picks up quick. After the second level, everything in this game is out to get you. Like, you do not stand a chance against anything. So yeah, everything wants to kill you. You make it to the end of the level, you know, everything's fine. And then this is where the real trauma starts. The next level is Nightmare Buzz. And Nightmare Buzz, it's not a happy level. It's a very scary level, okay? So Woody has a dream, and in his dream, Buzz, he appears, and he's not happy with Woody. Woody's been a bad toy, so he's here to put Woody in his place.
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off. Take that!
So anyway, yeah, Nightmare Buzz is it's traumatic, and I was feeling it when I replayed this for this video to get some footage. Oh man, he starts out, just the voice lines, the way they're compressed and the way that they sound just really low quality, just it comes across, it comes off as so creepy, and I don't even know how to describe it. It just comes off in such a creepy way, the way that it's just compressed. And basically my heart started racing after I started hearing this. I didn't know what to do in the level. I had never really played this on my own until I played it for this video. To beat the level, you just gotta hit Buzz in the balls over and over again until he submits. So once you start hitting Buzz in the balls, he'll shoot his laser beam at you, and then you get him in the face, and it's pretty much over after that. Once I figured that out, it was a pretty easy level, to be honest. It's pretty straightforward. But man, you're in this dark, like the room is dark. You're like under the bed or something like that. And he appears out of nowhere. He's like this floating specter. And just the voice lines, the compressed voice lines are just super creepy.
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
It's terrifying. And then from there, the game just gets more stressful and more stressful. You have to play this RC level where you don't have a time limit, but you have a battery limit. Your battery's slowly draining as you drive through this tight, like narrow corners, and you got to make it to the end. And your only way to refill your battery is to hit Buzz. He'll drop like more batteries for you, but they go like bouncing off the walls, and who knows if you're gonna like hit it. And like, if you hit the walls and you go bouncing off, you lose more battery. It's just super stressful, and then it just gets crazier and crazier from there. I could feel myself getting stressed as I played this game again. Just one more thing I wanted to mention about this is after each level, you have this blank black background, and Woody's doing this freaky little dance. Like, everybody in this game's everybody's just freaky in this game. I don't know why. He looks like he's humping the air if you keep pressing the down button. Don't even start when you get to Sid's house. Like, it just gets freakier from there. But yeah, this game is not meant for kids. Nightmare Buzz is what scarred me for life. Buzz in general in this game scarred me for life. But that's Toy Story on the PC. Okay, so the last game I wanted to talk about, and the game that probably No, the game that definitely traumatized me the most as a kid is a game that's been talked to death about on YouTube, but I still had to save it for last, and it's probably my most favorite game of all time, and that is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I love this game. I've played this game to death. So we didn't have a Nintendo 64, but we did have a GameCube, and we had the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. I think that's what it's called. And that game had Zelda 1, 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. And we would play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask all the time. We loved those games. We also, for the longest time, didn't have the memory card, like I said earlier. So we played that first 3-day cycle. Basically, all we knew was how to be a Deku Scrub. We would just play that first 3-day cycle over and over and over again. And if you know anything about this game, you know that one of the first characters you come across in this game is the Happy Mask Salesman. And he is absolutely the source of most of my childhood trauma. When I was, between the ages of 4 and 8 or 9 or something. The Happy Mask Salesman, like, man, what a guy. What a way to start the game. The Skull Kid's bad enough, right? Like, he's a pretty scary dude. But the Happy Mask Salesman, like, the Skull Kid has nothing on him. How is he not the main villain of the game? He was my arch nemesis. But yeah, literally everything about this game freaked the heck out of me. The Happy Mask Salesman, you have the Skull Kid, you have the creepy music playing, you've got the moon, and also you have, and I think this is quite underrated, and I don't really hear many people talk about it, might be wrong about that, but you have Sakon, the thief. This guy is super creepy. So yeah, after playing the intro so many times, the Skull Kid didn't really bother me. But man, the Happy Mask Salesman, I never got over this guy. He creeped me out every time. And one of the things that makes him so creepy is that he goes from being like warm and inviting to like near strangling you by the end of the first 3 days. So yeah, he's not a friendly guy. Nobody really knows his backstory. He just appears out of nowhere. He finds this all-powerful dark ancient mask that he loses all of a sudden. And he's like, hey, I've got this giant organ, that's cool. He only knows how to play 3 notes on it, by the way. But anyway, yeah, he's just all over the place, super bipolar, just kind of a freaky dude all around. Everything else about this game is it's like, as a kid, it was the stuff that scared me the most, but now it's the stuff that I really love about it. It's weird how that works. Anyway, the first 3-day cycle, you can come across so many things that are just super creepy. One of the first things is, of course, the Happy Mask Salesman, the fairy, and then you help the bombers out, and then you get to go through the sewers, and you're just going through, there's no music or anything, it's just this dark, dank sewer, and there's nobody around. You just got to make it to the end of the sewer, and then you come across the Astral Observatory, which has some of the best music in the game, by the way, but it's this random guy with a telescope. We used to call him Dumbledore, by the way. He's like, hey, you want to look through my telescope? I have kids come around here all the time. So you look through the telescope, and then you see the Skull Kid on top of the clock tower, and he's like, he's like shaking his booty at you. He flies into the sky, and then you look at the moon, and like, if you hadn't looked up at the sky before in this game, the moon has this grimacing face, and it's just always looking down on you, and you see it cry a tear from the sky, and everything in this game is just so weird, and I love it. It's just so crazy. So you get the moon's tear, and then you can go back to town, and you can get access to the Deku Flower, which lets you climb on top of the clock tower, and then the clock tower opens at the end of the 3 days, and you can get your battle with the Skull Kid. But in between that time, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can talk to all the townspeople, and if you're unfortunate enough, you will come across something that is the second most disturbing thing in the game for me, is Toilet Hand. The Toilet Hand, it is, man, what were they thinking with this game? Like, there's this guy that's just stuck inside the toilet. You just see this hand pop out and just start wagging itself. And like, you're just this little kid talking to this guy in a toilet. You go and talk to him, and he's like, I need paper, I need paper. Like, you're like, okay, so what do? You hand him your land deed to the Deku flower, and he's like, oh my gosh, thank you. And he has this creepy voice lines. He's like, yay! Like, it's just super weird. Oh, it's so crazy. I love it now, but man, as a kid, this stuff freaked you out. At least he gives you a piece of heart, you know? I don't know how he got down there, but you know, maybe that's not a question for me to ask. I've heard that like the Happy Mask Salesman is based off of Shigeru Miyamoto, like the creator of Mario and Zelda. If somebody were to describe me like that, I would take huge insult to that. I don't want to be related to this guy. I had a recurring nightmare when I was like 5 or 6 that I would be playing Majora's Mask on our TV, and then the Happy Mask Salesman would show up and I would get scared. So I'd turn the TV off in my dream, but it wouldn't turn off. The screen would just stay on and just be the Happy Mask Salesman just laughing at you. And I had this nightmare as a kid. It was pretty traumatic. Still kind of gives me the willies as I think about it. And Sakon, he reappears and you kind of get more story around him. By the way, this guy, first of all, he's in a playground like around kids. Does nobody notice this guy? The guards freaked me out too, that you would do this dance with this dead guy's face attached to your face, and then this guard would just be watching you dance with these girls, like with all this creepy music in the background, like just ominously watching you. Like, what? I thought all the guards were evil because of this cutscene. I guess not. Like, they don't really do anything in the game, really. Oh, as a kid, this game was the scariest for me by far, especially as like, you know, around the age 4 or 5. This game got to me. But you know, the stuff that really set me off, like even as a kid, I just found it intriguing, and just the atmosphere and the story and the characters. You know, I might have been scared of them for the most part, but they were also really intriguing to me, and that definitely stuck with me as I kind of grew up, and then I got to learn more of the lore and the story and actually talk to them and, you know, do the side quests and get to see more of like what they have to say. It's really an incredible game and lots of cool stuff to see, but as a kid, it was a lot. So, did you guys have any games that you were scared to play as a kid? If you do, let me know down in the comments what those were. I'd love to hear anything that you guys have. And also, happy Halloween. I hope you're all doing well, and thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. The support for all the videos has been really, really cool to see, and it's been really fun, so I really appreciate it. But anyway, happy Halloween, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.